Hey, tell the story, Dad. Tell the story.
Cumberland Gap.
This is the best story of all. This is the ultimate. Excuse me. This is the penultimate Gene story. If you only have one story about Gene and it's not the Madsen story, then this is the story you want to hear. Take it away.
Well, I've never heard it, so I'd like to hear it.
I learned to fly at a little airport near my college. I had a motorized bicycle. I'd ride across in the icy wind to get that thing and fly. This little Piper Cub went 58 miles an hour. Cars on the road passed me up. And my teacher was the chief of the whole region for the FAA, Federal Aviation. He was the commander, FAA. He was my teacher. And when the 40 hours came for my final test, he wanted to flunk his own student. So no matter how poor I was, he passed me. I could barely take off and land. And he passed me, and Dad bought this wonderful airplane in Lexington, from the dealer in Lexington, Kentucky. And I got on the train, went up there, and here comes this 19-year-old kid, and boy, how they whined and dined me, sir. Come this way, sir. Took me out of this gorgeous red machine. I'd had this junky Piper Cub, and he's going to give me a introductory landing. As we took off, another airplane took off. Our wings almost bumping. Whoa! And he pulled us. And that thing went up like that, and I never saw such power and grace. My airplane, boy, came back and landed. He said, "Now you know how to get home. You know where Middlesboro and Pennington are." Yeah. Well, you see this map here. You see this lake? As soon as you take off here, go straight across the middle of that lake, and you'll be heading straight toward your destination. I took off, and instantly nothing fit, nothing from nowhere. I was lost in 4 minutes. But there's the railroad. Now I had gone to Berea College. Now I knew it went down to Middlesboro. I followed the railroad right down to Middlesboro, cut left up the valley, Rose Hill, Ewing, Pennington. And when I got to Pennington, there's Gene Culberson, his new airplane, boy. But that's Pennington. I went, and everybody come out looking and looking, and shook that town up. And Dad,
and aerospace parts.
And Dad's phone began ringing off the hook. And so many people owed him so much money, he didn't want them to think he was rich. He wanted to be poor so they'd pay. He said, "Gene, don't you ever fly across this town again." Well, that broke my heart. I couldn't buzz my friends. I don't want anybody to know I've got this airplane. So we had the airplane. So I finally begged him one winter, over Christmas, to let me go to Indiana and get my cousin Robert. We're going to fly to Miami, just looky-loos, Miami. So I had no trouble. I took off from Pennington, headed north across Kentucky, and midway across Kentucky, began to see this little white powder here, white powder here, white powder, and then more white powder. Finally, it's all white. But by doing the roads, I got all the way to his town, and I landed, and I didn't know where he lived. I went in the post office. "Where does Robert Smith live?" "Well, sir, 4 miles out this way, you'll find this row of trees. His house is at the end." Y'all haven't met my cousin Robert. He's my age. I just loved him. So I flew out there. Oh, there's a row of trees.
You just took right off again.
I flew out the road. There's the trees. And behind there's a cornfield. His corn, the stalks of cut corn about this deep, about this tall. I landed in the cornfield, taxied up to his back door, and cut off the engine. Round. The screen was knocked off its hinges as he comes screaming out to see Cousin Gene and his airplane. So I slept there overnight to go to Miami next morning with him, and it snowed that night. Snowed our wheels in. Before we could move, we had to get the shovel, get the snow loose from the wheels before we could get taxiing. And we took off, shook around, wiggled the wings at Mama. And in those days, it's just after the war, there were little airfields everywhere where they trained pilots. Almost anywhere you look, there's a strip. So I didn't navigate. I just tuned in on a Miami station, got the music, and as long as I tuned straight toward it, if I veered off from the beam, the music died out. Like a shark,